Welcome, everyone, to your 5-day self discovery. I am Christina Castellanic. So, we are going to take you on a journey today to discover and to unravel the pieces and parts that you want to change in your life. Maybe it's mental, maybe it's emotional, maybe it's physical, maybe it's behavioral, and you want to change one little piece of something and you want to learn a bit more about yourself in the process and why you haven't been able to move forward on something. We get to talk about that today, and we're just going to do little exploration pieces at the end and then pieces to educational pieces that we'll kind of go through in the beginning. And then we'll explore a little chunk at the end, and you'll get to feel your way through this process. So, some urge brought you here, right? So perhaps you felt this instinct, this pull toward addressing this today, needing to move forward on your goal. And so I am here to support you on this journey to learn about your body and your mind and how they interact with one another and how they interact with the world around you. And I'm here to support you in learning how to digest that and notice how it sits in your body so that you can learn how to move through those physical, mental, emotional struggles and frustrations and allow yourself to actually move into that place of rest and digest, of calm and presence, and of manifesting what you really want to bring in, that goal that you have in mind today. And so, a little bit about me. I am a health practitioner, been in practice for over 12 years. I do this work with my patients and with my online groups that I run and individual programs that I have that are online. And the reason why I'm doing this is that I have felt that struggle. I felt that struggle a lot when I was a little kid in feeling constant physical ailments and illnesses and not knowing why my body was doing what it was doing, not knowing why my mind was sabotaging me every step of the way too in my mental emotional state. And so, over the decades, I've learned a lot about the body through traditional Chinese medicine, homeopathy, herbs, supplements, and medical intuition. And I'm also a somatic experiencing practitioner. So all of these tools over the decades that I've built have helped me figure out what my body is really doing and why, at least continue to uncover that even presently every day. I want to keep unfolding that relationship with me and my body so that I know why it's doing what it's doing and it sends you on some really tough lessons. Um, and then why the mind is sabotaging us to move forward. So we're going to talk about that specifically today. That the mind and body, mind and body, can kind of keep you in this place of sameness, the usual, so that it can protect you. It's our nervous system trying to protect us. So um, let's move into the first little part here. Okay. So we've got our common and familiar neural patterns. So you've got this frequency here, this band of orange showing you your typical experiences, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, behavioral. We all have them. We all have all of these facets of us, and they kind of usually land in this typical experience of ups and downs. Sometimes I feel really great when the sunshine is out and shining and the kids are not screaming right in front of my face. Then it feels like, oh wow, yeah, I can rise up and feel that upper level of frequency within myself. That rest and digest state is present to me. And then there are, of course, times where I feel that fight, flight, and freeze response, as we all do, where there's a trigger that occurs, and the thing is that all of these things in our present moment are typically due to a process from our past. So we've got our inherited tendencies, our genetics, our ancestry that comes in with us. We can call this maybe our blueprint, what we come in with. And then we have our early childhood programming, ages 0 to 7, where we live in this state of delta and theta brainwaves. And so it's like we're in a dream state or we're in a sleepy state. And our children live in that. We lived in that from 0 to 7. And so we get a lot of our unconscious programming that way. When we are 0 to 1, and 0 to 1, it's all pre-verbal. We don't even know how to express what we're feeling. We're just feeling it. And so a lot of what we learn there is just, it's automatically in the body. There's no way to actually intellectualize it and process it in any higher function way. It's only going to be able to be processed through the body. And so we have our childhood programming that sets us up in particular ways, as well as our genetics and the blueprint that we come in with. And then we have, injuries, illnesses, traumas, pivotal experiences from 0 to whatever age you are. And this shapes our nervous system. And then in the present moment, we reenact those past experiences because our nervous system is used to running in this specific bandwidth. And so as it does this, it is comfortable, it is familiar, it feels safe. This is great. And so you can do that. You can kind of stay in that easy place. And those are moments in life where nothing's really wrong or horrible. And you're just sort of like, you can feel the ups and you can feel the downs of life. And that's good. But there's also this opposing force within us. There's this opposing force that wants us to move towards wholeness. It urges us to break out of what we're used to. On an unconscious level, this is because we want to heal the patterns of our past in childhood. That childhood programming is there. And as an adult, things come up so that we can work on those pieces for ourselves. And so we've got this fight, flight, and freeze pattern in our nervous system that keeps us in this narrow bandwidth down here. And then we've got this life force energy. You can call it universal love. You can call it qi in traditional Chinese medicine, or in Reiki, they call it ki. Reiki itself is universal love from the universe coming into the body. Prana, vital energy. There's so many names for it, but there's this pulse of energy that wants to move from the universe to your body, and it is innately doing so. And you get those urges sometimes where you want to do something new, you want to do something different, you want to expose yourself. It might feel unsafe, it might feel like it takes you out of your narrow bandwidth, but there's this urge, right? And so we want to, whatever that goal is for you today, there's that one thing you want to shift in your life. That's that urge. That's that urge towards something different for yourself. And then whenever that occurs, we typically hit at some point, as we make the change, we hit resistance, we hit some obstacles. And it might look like it's outside of us, but typically it's the internal work that needs to be done, i.e., healing those childhood patterns so that we can slide into that new state, right? And we heal those internal patterns so that we can do that, right? So I'm just gonna name off some ways that resistance can show up in your life. And if you can, just grab a pen and paper or your phone and just jot it right in there. So resistance can look like avoidance. So when you're working towards something and there's procrastination involved, or you're avoiding it, a conversation perhaps, or whatever it is, if avoidance is showing up, you are resisting that movement toward something new for yourself. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. You might be avoiding it because it's too big for you to look at and handle. And so you're really just trying to keep yourself nice and safe, right? So what can you do to make it more tolerable for you to face that thing that you're avoiding? And then you can take it little piece by little piece and actually work towards experiencing that new thing that you need to experience, or that thing that you're trying to procrastinate against. It can also show up as distraction. So resistance can show up as distraction. We want to, keep ourselves busy. We'll watch movies. We'll, go on social media. That will be a huge distraction to moving us towards where our souls are urging us to be. Maybe anger, judgments, and criticisms show up. This happens a lot for me when I rub up against something that's probably good for me, but super terrifying. Then I start judging it and criticizing it, and now I get to catch myself and say, oh, okay, so interesting. Sometimes I'm too roped up into the judgment and criticism, and I feel justified in that, But other times I can stop and pause and say, what am I really hiding from, right? What am I really wanting to not face? And instead, I'm putting some judgment and criticism around it. So confusion and forgetfulness are two other ones that can show up. Confusion is really sneaky because it just makes you go blank. It makes forgetfulness and confusion are just like you're moving towards something, you really want to get it done, but now suddenly you completely forgot to do that thing today. You completely forgot to have that conversation you needed to have, or whatever. That's a very sneaky, unconscious sabotage that occurs by the mind and body to keep you in that wonderful safe zone, like just that status quo. If you are tuning into the body, our sensations might feel distracted and foggy, but it also could feel like the sensations are wandering all over the body. So if you're tuning in, it's just like a whole mishmash of all kinds of layers of stuff in the body. There's overwhelm there, but also it could also be a way of distracting and resisting this moving forward in your nervous system patterns. So we really just want to call this out. We want to just call out when you feel one of these things show up. And that's going to be our thing today. For the rest of the day, you're going to be calling this out for yourself around your goal that you want to achieve. So we're going to go into our little exploration piece today. So if you can find a comfortable place to sit or lie down, we're going to get to explore. So taking a moment and feeling yourself in the chair, feeling yourself in your body. We're going to take a moment and just see if you can feel into the chair underneath you. Notice if you can sense your buttock and hips and thighs making contact with your chair, your feet on the floor, if you're seated. And just feeling what this is like to slow down, to bring yourself back down to the root of you, to the very bottom of you. Feel into that connection with the chair. And notice how your body receives this. Maybe you start to feel some sensations inside. Maybe you feel some settling, some calm, some groundedness. And just notice what that feeling is like for you. How would you describe the sensation, even right now in this moment? Just name it out loud for yourselves right now. feeling like in that area, making contact with your chair? Is there a temperature to it? And then how your body takes this in. Again, naming this out loud. Is there a sinking feeling? Is there a light feeling? Is there an opening? Is there a dropping down? I feel a dropping down from the back of my skull, occiput, and it's just like a weight. And the weight is just dropping down my spine and into the chair. So just feel what it is for you, how your body takes this in. This is you settling into your rest and digest place, your parasympathetic state. And so now we're going to dive into that thing, that one thing you want to change in your life, the thing that you want to accomplish. So bring it to your mind. And then notice what it's like as you bring this goal to mind. Perhaps there's some resistance that shows up, maybe judgments, criticisms, distractions. And so instead, we're going to imagine, for this moment, we're going to imagine that it actually came true. That whatever you're wanting right now, I get to snap my fingers, and you do too. You can snap your fingers, and it happens. And you're living it in this very moment. And as you see yourself there, living it in this moment, notice how your body responds to this. There are going to be parts of you perhaps that resist it, and parts of you that are really on board, that are very excited and that want this. And so tune into that part for a moment. Noticing where it is in your body and what it feels like to have this done. It's done. It's here. And seeing the shape and size that that sensation takes up. Maybe name it out loud right now for yourself. What's it feel like? And as you do this, notice what happens to it. Is there further definition that you can have? Is there a color to it? Is there a movement to it? Is there emotion that shows up as you feel into it? Getting to know what it's like for it to be manifested in your life. Getting to know what it's like when it's here. How does your body feel when it's actually here? And so this is us moving out of that narrow bandwidth, pushing our nervous systems out of it, above it, and notice how much of you is open to it. And then there's probably that other part of you that doesn't quite feel safe for it to actually be here. So maybe some criticism and judgment comes in, maybe some avoidance or distraction. Notice what shows up for you out of that list. Again, name it out loud. and we bring ourselves back to it actually happening. And feeling your body and how it's taking it in. Beautiful, beautiful job, guys. And so, just as you come back into this room, I will invite you to notice this for the rest of the day. Notice how it feels for this goal to be realized and recognized, how it feels to actually become part of your experience in this world. And then notice the resistance showing up, to keep us safe, to keep us back in that place of the usual, the norm, the comfortable. That's extremely normal, and that's also healthy. There's a certain part of that that's very healthy. There's pieces of our patterns that have saved us in the past. So they're going to keep working. And we want those to keep working. But there are parts of our patterns that are no longer working for us. And that's what we want to discover in this process, because you want to achieve this goal. You want to move forward on it. And so our first step is imagining it and seeing the resistance that shows up. Good. And we're just going to keep working on this over the next 5 days. And I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, noon to 12 to 12:30. And that's it. I'm going to shut this off and we can take some questions.